around, and then my internal fence is to keep the sheep and goats in internally is 4 strands. Because if one got through there every now and then, they still on the farm. So anyway, what I'm saying is now I'm going to divide this in half, and I'm going to see it's along there, and the cows are going to go down there and graze together in the evening. Now if you're moving cows and you've got clover, now some people will have clovers. I've got lots of clover. Now in the spring I move them different than I do right now. But if you got lots of clover, you always move them after done. You don't want dew on the clover. And you want them to have a full belly before they go in there. And what we're doing always is we've got this grass here, and they're always grazing the tops of the grass. Now listen to this. If they're always grazing the top, and they go to the next paddock and go to the top and the next paddock, now the grasses may be a little different in some paddocks than the others, but still the principle is they're grazing the top, right? What did that do for the microbes? They're getting the same energy day after day after day. Energy-protein relationship, day after day after day. Now you know in the early spring when cows are squirting, you mentioned about that is too much protein. It's too much protein. The only way you can do that, boy, then if you've got stockpile or something where it's got some old sod in there, or you may put out a little hay for the first couple of weeks to get them acclimated, and let the grass get as far ahead of them as you can, and then put them in there and let them, and don't leave them alone, because the closer you get to the root zone, the more protein. You let them graze off the tops and move them. That way getting it more energy, and the energy will stop them from squirting. Now you know in the feedlot they get acidosis because starch produces acids. Protein makes it too basic. They'll have a pH of 8 or so in the rumen, and that imbalances the microbes. We are feeding friggin' microbes in both the soil, if you feed the soil, and both the animal, and a lot of them are the same friggin' microbes. So you are in the microbe feeding business. Okay. Yes.
What about the pH of the soil?
Are you asking if we lime, or are you asking if we?
Well, I mean,
If you do this, if you start off and the pH is low, take a little. I can go out and monitor to know where I was.
okay, what are you going to say is low? How much you say is low?
Anything below, I'd say below 6. 6.5 is kind of, the threshold, but I mean ideal threshold. But below 6, then I'd probably like some. Or broiler litter, if you have that around. Broiler litter will bring the pH up. Yes. Yes.
Two questions for you. You have much problem with eye problems with the long grasses, and
That's the eye problem with long grasses is that's a universal problem. Every now and then, yes, you will get a grass seed. Every now and then. I don't worry about them sticking their heads down in the sod and all that stuff. And I had 1 year when we had some pink eye, and that's because I started grazing my grasses too early in the spring. If they get too much protein in the spring, they're going to have pink eye. You need to give them more energy in the spring to adapt them, and you will hardly ever have pink eye.
do you have a lot of fescue in your grass?
No. Very little fescue. The farm didn't have fescue in it when I got there. It ain't gonna have it when I'm except that the propagates. I use ryegrass in the fall. It costs me, I buy it for 60 cents a pound. I put 10 pounds per acre, and that is $6 an acre, and I can run that little 50-horse John Deere tractor all day long for about 12 gallons of fuel with a PTO. Now if I was pulling hard, yeah. And a PTO seeder, and I'll do that in sometime October. Used to do it in Thanksgiving break, because when I was at university, that's when I could, get out there and do it. And now it'll probably be closer to that again, because I'm not trying to do the spring thing. And I'm going to do it in the I mean, not trying to get grass for the fall, I'm doing it for the spring. I've just put, if you do Marshall ryegrass, don't put too much seed because it'll overtake everything. But anyway, and that's just to kind of spike it again because it's a reseeding annual, so if you let it reseed this year, it'll probably have plenty of seed bank for 2 years at least. Just let this sap pasture reseed this year, next year you let this, and then you got all that, you know, if you let it then you got all that litter that's gonna stomp on the ground. Woo! But I can spend that $6, no fertilizer, and I bet it produces between 8,000 and 10,000 pounds of dry matter per acre in the growing season. Now, how can you buy that much dry matter for $6? So, and it's a higher quality than fescue. My cows won't even hardly eat fescue because I ain't got much of it and they don't like it.
I've got a lot of it, but they keep running close.
But they'll eat the clover and the ryegrass and the crab. I did establish Red River crabgrass the first year I was there, and it still comes up. Johnson grass, clovers I got, or legumes I got, wild winter peas, vetch, common lespedeza, Sarisa lespedeza.
Do you have Bermuda?
Yes, I'm getting Bermuda. The Lord's giving me Bermuda. I love it. Good gosh,
Wants to
yeah.
take over.
Huh?
It wants to take my place over.
I'll let it happen. The only way, the way to grade Bermuda is keep it vegetative, which means you raise it, you get off of it, it comes back green, and you come back. It likes to be mishandled, abused. You just come back in the middle of the summer, because if it gets up mature and starts going to seed and turns brown, it ain't worth nothing. I mean, it's less than maintenance.
You know, when the frost hits it.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be dead then. But that's good if you had some stockpile there and then you had this green stuff, you know, to kind of let them graze that stockpile Bermuda and some of your green stuff if you no-till or something. I don't want to no-till, but you can rent a no-till seed.
I have some Bahia, and my cows like the Bahia better than they do those.
But my friends that are doing this, that have been doing this longer than me, here's what they got. They got no fertilizer, no seed, no weed control. They don't even own a tractor. Dr. Hazard, we've been going to his place now for 20 years, and he fishes out about 1,800 steers a year, and he doesn't even have a tractor. Wouldn't have a tractor. He finally bought him a Polaris to check the cows instead of a little Datsun pickup. But it was his son's, and he borrowed it for a while, and then he decided, oh, and it may still be his son's because he uses it during deer season, and he got that, and he goes out there and, you know, does his thing.
93.
And he's 93 years old this year. But the point is, that man makes money. He makes money. He knows how to make money. And I've carried over 1,000 students down there to listen to me. I want them to hear from people that know how to make. That's the kind of people I sit in front of them, that I know are making money. I don't care, and most of them are individuals rather than companies. Because if you're managing companies, a lot of times you got a mega budget. But if it's your stuff, with your, and all of these, none of them have tractors. That's the problem. And it's hay, I'm going to get you in just a second. Hay, do not harvest hay except on your own place where you can't put cows at all, on your own place. That is ludicrous. It'll cost you $30, $40 a roll to roll it on your own place, especially if you have your own equipment and stuff. I can buy it from somebody else, bring it in there. They bring in their fertilizer, the nutrients, all that stuff. Hay equipment, I don't have it doesn't rust. And they're bringing it in there, and I'm feeding it, and I feed it in marginal places that need a little extra organic, you know, a little extra litter and stuff, and put it in there and take advantage of their generosity. Because I never ask them what they want for their fertilizer and minerals. Because I don't want them to know I'm buying it. You can't tell them everything. Yes, sir.
What do you worm with?
Don't,
Where do you worm?
Deworming,
don't have to.
you
Because
don't really have to.
Yeah, I know.
But
I
what I
kill the
do-
microbes. I just wondered.
I'm
if
glad
needed
you brought
to,
that
what
up,
do you
thank
do?
you.
Yeah, let's touch on
What
that.
I do in the spring, we have face flies here. Y'all have face flies? Face flies will spread the pink eye. Way worse than any grass seed. Because a pink eye infection is a bacterial infection. Except when it does, yeah, I'm not in the grass seed gets caught now. But I'm not gonna spend a fortune just to worry about that one cow that might get a grass seed eye. I'll just give it up and get a grass seed eye. But anyway, back to this. I use Sidectin in the spring to knock down the flies, pour on. I know it deworms some, but I'm not worried about the deworming on premature cows. Now, young cows, you know, your weaning calves and that's a different story. They are not old enough to have built up that immune system yet. I don't care if they got internal parasite, if they do not show signs.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
means
my
our
concern
immune
is-
system is working and you're never going to get rid of it. I mean, I don't care what dewormer you use or what protein. And so if they can hold them down themselves, if I kill them down, and that'll jeopardize their immune system. But I use the Sidectin. I cannot use ivermectin cheaper, and I can't use it in the spring because it kills my tongue.
That's what,
And in a cow pile, now, if you're going to harvest cattle for your own use, you must wait in the spring till the cow pile is a nice top. If she's squirting, do not harvest her. Her urine's above pH, it's probably about pH 8. You want to take some litmus paper, some of you little chemist folks know what I'm talking about, and go out there. You don't have to stick it up the cow's vagina. You just wait until she eliminates some grass, and you go over there and rub it across there, and it'll tell you what the pH is. When the pH of the urine is 8, do not harvest because it's going to taste like swamp. The meat will.
This is why the Amish guys, they carry around that litmus tape and they follow their cattle. And that's what they monitor for is pH, because I talked to him about
Right.
pink eye.
And that's pH too.
It's pH,
pH.
and that goes back to this protein thing, too much protein.
Too much protein,
Pink eye.
pink eye.
Yeah.
If you'll keep your cows from squirting in the spring, then if you have to feed a little grain, do it in very limited moderation.
If you eat your grass too low,
Yeah.
all the parasites
Right.
are down at the ground.
That's right.
You want to keep your grass tall.
Right.
And you won't have a worm problem.
Yeah.
That's right. And you move your pastures, you know, in 30 days or so. I don't know what the cycle is. You veterinarians would know. I think it's
Depends on which one you want to talk.
right. Well, I don't. A large stomach or the stomach worms seem to be the worst, but around here.
24, 25 days.
Right. So, you know, if I'm letting that pasture rest 30 to 40 days, now in the spring I'm moving a lot faster because you know how fast Marshall ryegrass grows. 6 inches per week without fertilizer, with clover in it. 6 inches per week. So you better not wait over a couple of weeks, and you better come back and trim it off again. And all grasses are like that. If you keep stimulating them, they will keep growing, but you've got to let them rest. Never leave cows, and here's one of the nevers again, in a pasture over 5 days at one time. You're a sinner if you leave them over 5 days, except in the wintertime, you know, stop. But never over 5 days at one time, preferably 3. When did I say, how often did I say I moved my cow herd? Every 3 days. It's 12 miles from my house, so that's a 24-mile trip, and so I'm trying to save a little fuel, but next year I may go out more often. But anyway, because the more often it goes, the better the grass is going to be. So anyway, but see what happens is that the grass will start up and then, and you nip it off. Well, it starts another growing point in about 3 to 5 days. If the cow comes down and nips that growing bud off, then that sets it back more, and then it's got to get the regrowth energy back from the roots. You're screwing up! Now, every now and then you have, you can't help it every now and then. But move them, plan to move them, ideally, every 3 days. during the growing season. Now, that is not as critical like for your ryegrasses. You know, your annuals. But you still gotta let them have foliage, you know, if they're big leaf annuals. And, you know, Johnson grass, you can't maintain it if you continuously graze it. You've got to give it rest and probably not graze it over twice a year, twice times in a year, any one time. But see, you've got all these paddocks out there, and the cows are all right here. The whole farm is resting. It's doing its thing. The microbes are microbing and the earthworms are earthworming, and you know, all this is happening, this dynamic stuff in the soil. And then you come in with this hoof action, and the hoof action energizes the microbe. I thought that was an idiotic thing to say, but more than four, I've seen that it's true. And that hoof action gets the microbes going, and then the pulling up on the grass as they graze, all that stimulates the microbe, and they get, oh, look at here, let's get going here. And then, whoo, you get them off, and oh, does this sound like it? It sounds goofy. It's simple. It's too simple. But let's quit using the crutch and get into the holistic thing. Let's.
Don't worry about that. Next time. I'm talking to you.
Oh, well, yeah, please tell me to shut up in a minute. I'm going to anyway. I'm taking somebody's time and I'm sorry. You can tell that I'm excited about this. Very few people will adopt to this. I've got a cattle, cattle company, and I've got a young man up there, my Tennessee man. You know, I've got a few of them here that are on board with me.
It works, I'm telling you, it works.
And you are. And so I'm telling you that to us, we're gonna make money. I'm sorry if you don't. It's your own fault. There's only way you can increase your profit. Sell them higher, which sometimes we don't have much influence. Or decrease your production costs. That means the use of equipment. And hay equipment is the most horrible, sinful thing. And then, I do spray my fence. Keep my energizers going. Yes, I do that. Oh, and in the fall, I do pour on ivermectin on my cows at weaning, and I do wean my kids. When I wean my kids, I definitely deworm them, and then I'll deworm them again in about 4 months. But I do it in the fall because I used to have trouble with lice. And old cows would lose hair and grub and loud. They were lousy. I said,
Shouldn't you be worming earlier than 10 months?
Sir?
Shouldn't you be worming earlier than 10 months?
Well, I'm not weaning to then, so now I do get them up when they're about 4 months of age. Now, it used to be that I tagged the calf at birth. This was exciting. Run across cows and you grab the calf and it all. And the most exciting thing about it is not only does that cow attack, but if there's other cows right around that hear a calf hollering, here they come. And you look up and you're surrounded by angry beasts. So I decided as I got older, and the other sin I did is I used to go out and check my cows in a pickup, a Jeep. Gotta have a Wrangler Jeep or this ain't gonna work. Well, I go out and check them in the Wrangler Jeep, and I wrote down, and I always write down when the day they're born. The cows are all tagged, and they have, the tag number tells me what year the cow was born. Like I started with 1601 this year. That's the first, that's year of 2016, right? And then if I don't get confused. And then, but I write down the birth date, the cow number, the sex, essentially the birth weight, and I've weighed so many, I don't care if I'm off 5 pounds or so, and then I'm not a registered folks, you need to have actual birth weight, if you're supposed to have it. And then I write down another remark like, color, because some of them are a little different color. Then, when they're about time to put in the bulls, I get them all up, and I take the kids and I run them through through the alley, and Some of them have antlers, so I take care of that with my electric dehorn. And
I thought you were pole.
I'm not 100% pole. Bars, I'm gonna screw that up, okay?
Oh,
Yes. All right, so I knock off the antlers. It's only about, what, 20%, something like that. And then I look at the boys, and the boys that look like, man, this might be a horse. I don't want them to be great big frame. I want them to be shorter couple with a lot of mass and very, you know, I can see the hardware. And calm when it goes in the chute. Now if he acts up, I'm gonna make him act up more that day. But anyway, and if they got horns, I don't keep them as bulls. And the bigger frame, I don't keep those. And I castrate and I tag them, give them their ID tag, and then I turn them out with the cows. Well, they've been separated from the cows for a little while. And if you go out there as you turn them out, they go to the mama and you just right there with the calf, and I'm going to go with the cow. Now I'm not getting stomped to death, and I'm not putting stress on a newborn calf or the cow when the calf is born, because now I'm doing it in the corral, and we come and work the cows, and they're standing there waiting for the calves to come, and then we wait to do the calves as calmly as we can and put them out there, and I've got full record. Only thing I don't like is the calf. You know, it used to be that the numbers were in order in which they were born. But I try to put the small numbers in the bigger kids and the bigger numbers in the smaller. And of course, I don't preg check them till wean. And I don't think I want to do that to moles because I don't care if they're bred or have blood, I don't care. If they're not bred, that's 1,600 pounds of hamburger. So, but I'm gonna tell you, I wouldn't kill them right then. I'd wait for spring to kill them. So that spring, if they don't start showing, I can leave those few. If I've got any doubt, I can walk them in there, and I'll palpate my cow, and I can go in and palpate them, and then I can make a decision back. It's all very simple, but it's got to make where you don't. Yeah, the cows are working for you. Make it, don't have it, Kevin, when you gotta worry about the head and all that stuff. And give them plenty of grass, and woo! You'll be successful. Have a good fertile bull or two, and throw a couple of yearlings in there just for insurance, or you don't have to. And thank y'all, I enjoyed it. I'm sorry I took so darn long, and I can talk on and on, but
I told you guys would enjoy it. Appreciate that.
you don't mind, I'll stay to.
Sure. Dr. Jeff's going to talk just a few minutes about different ways of merchandising the product.
All right.
Because if you can't sell it,
I
then they ain't
know,
being
that's a
good,
bad deal.
but raising it cheaply. So we got to be able to merchandise our product. So Jeff, you want to talk for a few minutes on how to merchandise? Any of the board members, we're going to have a board meeting right after this is over with. Start talking, Jeff. Start talking.